Hi, Marilyn.
Hey Dave.
Let's start that again. Let's start that again. I'll start again. Okay. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi Dave.
Oh, wow. It's good to see you so happy and smiling.
Yeah. I mean, for those listening, they're not going to be able to see us, but we are happy and smiling.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're on a Zoom call so we can sort of interrelate with each other, which is nice. And we also record it.
And then maybe one day we can post these just for fun and people can actually see how goofy we look.
Yeah, well, you look goofy. I mean, I'm okay, you know.
Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got to. So, among all the many, many topics we've been thinking about for these podcasts, but you said, oh, let's talk about the ripple effect.
Yeah. The ripple effect that, yeah. Actually, if I can just say one quick thing, because I'm probably going to forget, is that that was one of the suggestions of the title for our podcast originally. Remember, I had thought of naming it "We Are a Ripple Effect," and then do you remember we talked about that for a bit?
Yeah, it's a nice topic and something we feel or we talk about a lot and things. So, if you were going to name the podcast "We Are a Ripple Effect," is it something that really means something for you personally?
I think just over the years with our discussions, we've both been talking about it quite a bit. We talk about it in different ways about how the way we think or the way we behave, the way we act towards other people, or the way we even go about doing something, how it has a ripple effect. It can have an effect on um, the people that we're interacting with. First and foremost, that's the most, well, not first and foremost, but that might be the most obvious one, right? The most obvious effect that it could have on is on the other person, but then there are other unseen things that could be affected, which are things that you and I talk about often, which is the quantum space, the quantum world. So we could also be affecting the environment. You and I have been studying, learning, and understanding more about the energy of land. So it could have an effect on the land where we are.
So, really, what you're saying is that, like, okay, if we just define what we think is a ripple effect, is like you say, like, you could be interacting with a friend or talking to a friend, so you think it's mainly the effect of this conversation is just maybe on, like, me and the friend, something like that. But actually, we may not realize that it's having an effect on all sorts of other things. So, for instance, if we're having a discussion with a friend in a cafe, you know, that it may have wider implications, even to the staff of the cafe or other people, but even to other things which we're going to talk about in this podcast.
So I was wondering if maybe we could just briefly talk about what we like. What do we see is what do we think is a ripple effect? Like, what is a ripple effect? What does that even mean? A ripple
Oh
effect.
yeah, yeah. It's funny when you say this. I often think of like a pond. Like like I grew up in England. And when our school was next to a really big park, and we used to run a lot through there, and there was like these like sort of dingy ponds in England, like and they had a lot of trees around them, and they would have like I don't know, the plants. I think they call them rushes or something. The little plants that grow on the edge of the pond. So like kids, like I was like a 10-year-old running through this park, and we'd often chuck things into the pond, you know, like stones or whatever we can find, just mucking around. But if you threw a stone into the pond, okay, it splashed in the middle of the pond, right? But it created a wave, which is the ripple. But so what happened was that wave would go out basically, and if the pond wasn't too big, it would go out and fill the whole pond. You'd be all these ripples like on the pond, like. And it would, like anything that was in its wake, affected by the ripple, would go up and down. So if there was like some leaves or someone had thrown a plastic toy in there, it would go up and down, and then it would hit the edge of the pond, and all the vegetation on the rushes and the plants growing there, they would get shaken up. So so it's like that one thing you threw in the middle of the pond affected basically the whole pond. And it probably went down as well into the fishes and what is down there, but we didn't see that. So, like, one thing, one little stone can affect basically everything in that pond, really. Just by, like, and maybe the more how can I put it? The bigger the impact. Like, if you throw it up higher and it falls down from a greater height, it has a bigger impact. The ripples are bigger. Yeah. So the size of the event or the impact can be bigger as well. Has a
Yeah.
bigger effect.
Yeah.
Is that okay? That's how
It's a
I
great
think of
analogy. Yeah. Yeah,
ripple effect.
that's what I think also very much. And yeah, I remember when I was living in Hong Kong, um, I was standing by a big body of water. I'm not sure if it was a pond or a lake, but I was looking at the ripples, and I had this huge insight suddenly that my mindset, that my thoughts were exactly like the ripples that I was seeing in the water that were coming from a boat. There was a boat that was just in the water, and it kept just tilting back and forth. I was looking at the ripples, and then I saw this boat come out of maybe it was like it was an area where boats were coming out of, and this little boat came out, and it had a little engine, and it was creating so many ripples in the water. And I was watching, I was trying to follow up to how far out the ripples went. And I just had this immediate insight that my thoughts were those ripples, that our thoughts and our actions go so far out. They have such a far-reaching effect. Are we aware of that? Are we aware of that? And this was, maybe like 7 years ago. But you know how sometimes you have an epiphany, and it just hit me really hard that one day. It was like, wow. And then I became much more aware of my thoughts at that time, because I thought, shit, I got to be careful.
It's interesting you say that example, because what you saw in the water, which was ripples, actually had a ripple effect on you. So it actually gave you, so something that's physical, like the ripples in the water, affected your thinking. Like it had a consciousness effect, you could say. Wow, that's a really good example. Wow,
It
that's
did.
good.
It did. So, yeah, so I think that's in a way, that's why we want to talk about it, because I think we both, in various ways, talk about this in our discussions about how what we think and what we do and how we do what we do has a far-reaching effect. But it's like, okay, let's break it down. Let's share some examples about how that plays out. And I think we have a ton of examples. We could maybe mention just a few in this podcast, and just begin the discussion about this, because I think that this is a big one. And maybe people down the line, when we make this into an open forum, people can share their experiences of how something they thought or did or said had a ripple effect, and what that looked like. And let's begin a ripple effect of the ripple effect conversation. Yeah. So, do you have an example that you can think of?
I can do one that's like, some may not be so obvious, but one may be more obvious. Is like, so I'm living in a small country town. I basically go to the same cafe every day, and
Nice.
and on Christmas Day, maybe because the owners are Thai and they're Buddhists, they were open on Christmas Day. But a lot of the cafes may be owned by Christians. they weren't open, or they opened for a couple of hours and shut. So basically, in this small town, they were the only cafe open. So on Christmas Day, everyone descended on this cafe. Like it was packed. So it has like the locals, and then it's got the visitors come to see their relations. Oh, let's go out for a coffee, and maybe before we have the Christmas meal or something. So it's like I went there. It's like bedlam. So because it was Christmas Day, and because it's my cafe and I know the people quite well, I wanted to go in and say hi. So I felt a bit awkward ordering a coffee because they were so busy. But the minute I walked in, the owner saw me. He said, "Dave, you want your normal coffee?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, it's great." And then some people left, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a table there. So I sat on this little table, on my own, had my coffee. And then something interesting happened. Like, I could see the staff was so stressed out, and they didn't have as many staff as normal because, it's Christmas Day. There's some people, like they employ some young locals who are not Thai. They're probably Christians, so they were off, celebrating Christmas as they would. So they didn't have their regular staff there. They were short staffed, and the tables were just getting full up of dirty dishes as people left, and they didn't have enough staff to empty them. So I looked at them. I thought it looks so messy, and I could see they were stressed. So what the hell? So for an hour I cleaned tables in this cafe.
Nice.
And I
Cool.
felt great. I felt great because it was like I was making the place look nice, and the staff in the cafe, the owner, they were so grateful. You know, they was they were so happy. So so you might say, what's the ripple effect? Well, the next day, oh sorry, the next day when I went in there, I mean, he just made a thing. He said, I walked up to order my coffee, and I went to pay. He said, no pay. You're not paying for this. Yeah, and he gave me a cake and what. So it was very lovely, and then the energy changed between him, the owner, and the people. His name's Toto, and me. It's like he started to treat me like part of the family, and then I then got in the habit that like so I get there early, and maybe they haven't set everything up, and they carry things outside like little tables and things and chairs. So, and I would just go and help out, just naturally, and just starting part of the family. So they just started to treat me in a different way, like a friend, you know. So I think that was the effect on it, and I don't know if there's another effect, but it seems like the cafe is always cleaner now. It's like if you think about it, here's this person, me, who said, "Oh no, we can't leave the cafe messy like that." So I clean the tables. So I'm not sure how far the ripple effect goes, because it could go as far as, wow, the cafe's now being cleaned up better all the time. Not by me, but by the staff or things like that. It just seems a lot tidier now.
Maybe
I
they're
can't
caring
trace.
for it more.
Yeah, they seem to be. So I wonder if that's part of it, but it's hard to pick up sometimes. But basically, it all looks positive. So it was a great experience, which seemed to have a ripple.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think that probably that had a ripple effect, seen and unseen. Like there were some direct things that you noticed that were different, but then maybe there's other things, maybe other people seeing what you did planted a seed. I mean, for example, let's just say a customer that's there saw that you were a customer and that you got up and started doing that. Maybe that person sees that and says, you know, wow, that's strange for that person to be doing that. But you have no idea what you've planted in that person's mind. Maybe they go one day somewhere and they see a place that needs some help, and you have, seeded something into their consciousness, into their mind, that gave them permission to do that. in a way, and to do it and to not feel like a strange person, or to not feel awkward about doing something like that. So, like you said, the ripple effect could go so vastly out into the ethers. We don't know. Just like that, just like in the pond, just like the ripple in the pond, it just goes out and it permeates everything. And I often think about, because I work in a museum, and it's open to the public and it's free admission. So it's just a lot of people come up there because it's free, which is amazing. That is offered to the public, and so I just observe, and I noticed a lot of things about the way people throw their trash away, or when they go to the bathroom, what condition do they leave the bathroom in. And Dave knows me. I'm a person who has been commenting on the condition that people leave bathrooms in for a long time. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but it's something that has caught my attention for many, many years, about the way that we leave things behind in a public area. And I use the example of a restroom because I feel like it's a place where a lot of people go to. A lot of people have an experience with using a public restroom, whether it's at a coffee shop or a restaurant or a museum or a library. It's very often that you will find yourself needing to go to the bathroom in a public place. And very often I go into these bathrooms, and the condition is like, wow, the first thing that happens when I walk into a bathroom, I used to be really, really taken aback, and I would get really negative. I would get really negative when I would see toilet paper on the floor, or the rolls of the paper are on the floor, or someone like left some toilet paper on the toilet seat, or the person didn't flush, or there was water all over the sink and no one thought to just wipe it down a little. And I used to get so negative and be like, what is wrong with people? Why can't they just look after themselves, even just a little bit? Why don't they just pick up one thing? If each person would pick up one thing, it would make a big difference, And this is how I used to feel like for years and years and years and years. And then what happened is that I went somewhere, which we will talk about in later episodes, which is the place that you and I met. We both went to an institute in Hong Kong and then in China, and we both started learning about our mindsets, yeah, and the way that we think, and the effect that our thoughts and our way of thinking has an impact on our physical body, on our ailments, yeah, and how our thoughts can also affect other people negatively. And I started becoming aware of that. And what I realized was that, in taking that wonderful example of the bathrooms and the negativity it used to give me, is that I started thinking, wow, the problem is not that people are leaving shit everywhere. The problem is my thinking, is my way of thinking about it. That's really the problem at the time, And so I started to realize that I really needed to start changing my mindset about how I perceived people leaving their stuff everywhere. But here's the thing. Now that I've really been working on my mindset and really working on becoming more neutral about how I see things, and really giving everyone the benefit of the doubt in a way, giving ourselves the benefit of the doubt, because we don't know what are the circumstances that made a person leave the toilet paper on the floor, not flush the toilet. We don't know. We don't know if they're going through a really hard time. We don't know. We just don't know what caused that to happen. And the other thing is realizing that we've probably done that hundreds of times in our life. Done something without full awareness of how we were doing it and the effect that it may have on someone else in the way that we left something, in a room. Didn't tidy it up or something. And so all of this, how does this all go back to the ripple effect? Well, I guess one of them was understanding the ripple effect of my thoughts, literally, in how I'm not helping the situation by having a negativity about it. So, what was important was for me to change my thinking about it and be more compassionate and understanding, and seeing that I didn't understand the full scope of what led to that situation, that dirty bathroom happening. But what I could do is I could do something. I could do something about it. And that became very, very like, uh, I, I was going to say the word empowering, but it's nothing to do with power. It became something that really gave me a feeling of um, like a positive type of confidence. Like, you know what, Marilyn, if it, you know what, why don't you clean up after the people who couldn't do it, they just couldn't do it for whatever reason. If you appreciate this bathroom looking nice and you want it to look nice, go ahead and clean it. And I started doing that. I started i started cleaning bathrooms wherever I would go. Every time I would go into a bathroom stall, or go to the sink and it was a mess, I would start picking things up, putting them away. And here's the interesting thing is that when I do that now, because in my mind I'm not doing it to try to teach people how to do it or show them that, if I do it, then someone's going to notice me and and maybe they're going to do it. I just really want to make the bathroom clean so that the next person that comes into the stall has a nice feeling and doesn't feel disturbed by the influence of the dirtiness, or the neglect. And it's interesting. I just, so now when I clean, and I just feel good. I just feel good. It just, and once in a while someone will turn around and say, "Wow, that was really nice that you did that." And I go, "Well, yeah, thanks." But it doesn't, I don't need that. I don't need it. I'm doing it because I really want to make the place nice, and the feeling within me that I'm doing something that's going to bring a nice feeling, because we all know that not even just clean, but a place that's cared for, it carries a certain energy. We know that. We know that. You can know nothing about energy, but you can know that when you walk into a place that's clean and cared for and neat and things are put in their place, you just feel like, wow, it's so nice in here. Like when you walk into a hotel room and the room is like, it's been cared for by the housekeepers, and they've put the thing on the bed, and they folded the thing over, and everything's folded nicely. You're like, wow, this feels so nice.
So we may never have known. Like I think a lot of people like feel that. They go into a room or something, a restaurant or hotel or whatever, and they say, "Oh, I don't like the vibe here," or they'll feel something. Or but some places you go into, you love it, and you think, "Why? What's the difference?" So in a way, I think what you're saying is like that caring for the place or caring for the, I don't know, it has an effect. What we're sort of suggesting here in a way is like it has an effect, so you can affect a place, sort of thing, in a way. Because I was thinking, like with my cafe example, like what I continue to do is like if I go in the morning, I have my coffee, then I I will I'll take my cup to a place where it's easy for them to pick up. I'll take it off the table where I am. I'll straighten the chairs up where I was, and I'll, the sugar and the stuff which is on the table, I'll put it in the middle where it was when I arrived, because I know when I walk into that cafe, if I see it like that, it's sort of inviting, you know. It's nice, but if you walk in and things are a mess, you don't feel so inviting. It's not such a happy space. So I know, actually consciously, I'm thinking I want to do this for the person who walks in
Mm-hmm.
next.
Yeah, me too. I think that too. Well, I was going to say, would it be also that you're doing it for like the wholeness of the place?
The
Like
wholeness of the place,
like
yeah.
there's something in you that feels like you're doing it for the whole. So you're doing it for the people that are going to come in next. You're doing it for the people who work there because you want to give them a hand, because you know it's not easy to take care of a whole restaurant when a lot of people are coming with their expectations because they're hungry and they want to get what they want, when they want, how they want. And then the owner who's put this wonderful place together for you to enjoy and be able to come to, you know, and it's like you're giving respect and appreciating the wholeness of it.
Yeah, and it's for me too because I like the look of it, and I feel good when I do that. You know, it makes me feel like it feels, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a positive effect. You know, like I'm feeling very positive when I do that, and I'm not just like in the old days. I would just walked out. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
walked out, and I always had this mindset that, oh, you shouldn't do things like in cafes or restaurants like that because people are earning money by doing that,
Oh
right?
boy. Oh God. Can we talk about that mindset in a moment?
Because we're taking away something from them. Like they get paid money for doing that, so we shouldn't interfere with their so-called job. Yeah, job. You know, that sort of thing. So I learned how to get over that, but maybe yeah we can talk about that because you sound like you have something to say about that. I'm ready to hear it.
Well, I wanted to ask you first, like when you just said that you got like that you've gotten over that mindset. Can you explain just briefly, if you could just explain a little bit, like how did you get over? Did you get over it, or is it that you understood something, or that you something was revealed to you about that? You know what? How did that happen?
I had I think I had to be taught. I think because I was rooming with someone in a hotel who would clean their bed. Like we were had two beds, right? Like twins. He's in one bed, I'm in the other bed. But then when we got in the up in the morning, it was like a business trip. He would like clean the bed and smooth it off, and he'd make it really wow. Your bed's so tidy. I would just leave mine in a mess, and the chambermaid would do it. So, but what I noticed was that I discussed it a bit, like, oh, just said it was felt good for him. He said he'd always done that, or it's very natural to him. So I copied him one day, and then it seemed like the chambermaid became happier,
Mm. When you say
right?
chambermaid, do you mean the housekeeper?
The housekeeper, this chambermaid. Yeah, sorry, it's the housekeeper. The lady is always a lady who came in and made your bed. Like she became happier. Like, and it's like, hang on, but aren't I taking work away from her? But what I noticed was that actually the whole room became better because you think about it. She's coming. They're in pressure. They got to do so many rooms, right? So imagine you walk in. I imagine the bed's made. Oh, I don't have to do that. So I can spend more time now making the bathroom nice. So that the housekeeper can spend more time on the bathroom or more time doing this or that. So the whole feel of the cleanliness of the room lifted, you know, because she didn't have to do everything. And maybe like imagine like you're tired, you've already done 50 rooms, but you walk in and someone's made the bed like that.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, I don't care how young and full of energy and enthusiastic you are about cleaning rooms in a hotel. We're just going to use the hotel room for an example. You're a human being and you get tired, and it is tiring. And and the way that people treat their hotel rooms, because again I think it would be nice for us to talk just for a moment about that mindset of it's their job, they should be doing that. And that's the whole reason I go to a hotel, is so that I could throw my shit everywhere and I don't have to clean it up, because I have when I'm at home I have to clean everything. So when I'm at a hotel and I'm paying $250 for a room, I should be able to throw my shit everywhere and for the maid to clean it. Okay? And I'm sorry to put it this way. Okay, thank you. And I used to get into some arguments with some people in my life back in the day. I think even as early as I was a real slob in my early 20s. I was terrible. I would have piles. I was a slob. I had piles of clothes all over my room. I wouldn't do laundry for weeks. It was like I would just wear all my clothes until everything was used up, and then I would do my laundry. Anyway, I was not a very clean person when I was in my teens up to my early 20s. And to this day, I still have no idea what happened because I almost went 360 degrees the other way. And I don't know what happened. But I used to get into arguments with people because when I would travel with a friend or family and we would go to the hotel, I would make up the room all the time before the maid would come, the housekeeper would come to our room. I would clean the room. And my family members would yell at me and say, "Why are you doing that? That's their job. Leave it." I would really get yelled at sometimes. And I couldn't explain it at the time, but it was very important for me to surprise the housekeeper. I wanted to give them a surprise by the room being clean when they came in. It was the weirdest thing. I still and 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 then I realized that I cared about showing care to people. This is something that just started to happen in my 20s, which I think it's a quality maybe that I had when I was younger. And I think a lot of people have this quality that's inside of them and it's dormant. Because this quality was dormant inside of me. I remember being like that when I was little. And then it kind of went away. And then it came back. In my mid-20s, I started really liking the feeling of making someone feel appreciated and cared for. And that was one of my ways of doing it, was when I would go to a hotel and I would make up the whole room and I would always put my stuff away and keep things really tidy and and I'd even throw the trash away.
That's amazing. That's a huge thing you're saying because, like, and this is something like that we could talk many more podcasts about this. But what you're saying is that the energy of you doing this, of this care, was actually inside you, but was dormant. So it needs something to activate it. Otherwise, it would remain dormant. You could say, So it's amazing to think that we have these sort of potentials or thinkings, like in a state of readiness, but there's something has to happen to. Because otherwise, I think you're right. It's like it wouldn't happen unless it was sitting there. It's like you get an app on your phone, and like I don't know about you, but for me, like often these apps have so many functions I don't even check them out or look at them, but they're there waiting for me to press the button, and then often when I have I do the due diligence to actually have a look at it one day, I think, wow, it's amazing what this app can really do. I never realized that, it's like freaky. But otherwise, if you don't press the button, you'll never know, sort of thing, what it can actually do. And then you can say, wow, those people who designed this, they're brilliant, or blah blah blah, and it's free. I get this for free. It's amazing,
Yeah. So basically, like you're saying, and definitely, yeah, it's something we can talk about later. How do you awaken qualities within yourself that are dormant? Because that could be something that a lot of people are feeling like they have untapped potential. And me, I've had this feeling for so many years that there's so much within me that's not being tapped into, and then that's where I get depressed, I get frustrated, I feel unworthy, I feel like what I'm doing is not meaningful enough. I think all of those thoughts and feelings come up when I feel like that potential is just not being tapped into. So it's like, what can you do to tap into that potential? Because there are things that can awaken it. There are a lot of things you can do to awaken that potential that's dormant. And, we're talking about ripple effect, right? Maybe by us talking about it and talking about our experience with that, it'll have a ripple effect in that someone that listens to this might hear it, and maybe it means nothing to them, but maybe they talk to their mom or their sister or their brother or a friend or a coworker that day, and they go, "Oh, I heard this podcast, and they were talking about like that, how this helped them to start bringing out some qualities that they had in them," and then and that person can be awakened. It can be the code, the word, the it can, there can be something that'll ignite a memory in them.
It's interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's fascinating what you're saying. Maybe I just share one last one, a really simple one. It's like in Sydney, there are a lot of buses in Sydney, a lot of trains and a lot of buses, and the buses are pretty good. They're modern, they're frequent, and there's one I go on which is a double decker. It's like really used a lot, and what tends to happen is on the upstairs deck that people will go up, like they're usually traveling alone, to work or something, and they'll sit, by the window. So there'll be all these people on like spaces for two seats, but with one person sitting. So the bus will fill up with just one person on each bench, but there's another space next to them. So I noticed one day, they were like, they looked like tourists or something. There were a couple. They came up on the upper deck and they looked around because they wanted to sit together, obviously, to have the experience together and whatever. But they couldn't. So they sat down on, like, close to each other, but on sharing with another person. And I just happened to notice it. So, like, I don't mind sitting next to someone. I was on my own. So I got up and I said, you can take my seat. You can sit together. But they weren't expecting it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And that has a ripple effect. That has a ripple effect because it's maybe going to plant a seed within them, maybe not, it doesn't matter. But that has a ripple effect energetically on all the people who notice it, on the people that you're doing it for. They might tell the story to many people later that day or in the years to come. It has a ripple effect. And so that's why we're talking about how meaningful it can be to be aware of this ripple effect. Maybe it helps you also to be more aware, for us to be more aware of ourselves, of what it is we're doing and how we go about doing it.
Because I would never have done that, say, 10 years ago, or even probably 5 years ago. I would never have done that because I was so focused on myself. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even noticed it.
Yeah.
So it's right. You have to be aware of there are people around you, or there's an environment, and how are you going to care for that environment?
How are you going to care for the environment? Yeah.
How are you going to do it? But then there has to be a shift in mindset to get to that. So if I think, how did that shift happen? I think it's because some things in my life I reduced my anxiety. When I reduce my anxiety, I'm not so self-focused. I can look more what's going on around me.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you, all of the spiritual teachers or all of the people who talk about being present, being in the moment, um, the power of now, is all about that. It's really so that you can, I think one of the main things that I've learned from those teachings about being present is that you become really in tune with your environment. You don't just become in tune with what your needs are, your needs and wants, but you become in tune maybe with the needs of the environment. And that goes for people and for the environment itself, because sometimes the environment has needs. But if we're focused on ourselves, it's hard for us to see that. And yeah, really just being in tune. Being in tune, I think, is a big one. And I think what do you think? It could be nice just for a moment, just to talk for just a moment about the mindset of that we were talking about earlier. The mindset of it's their job, they should do it anyway. It's let's leave it for the people who get paid to do this. Because I have a feeling that this has a ripple effect. This type of thinking has a ripple effect. Well, let's just say, Okay, again, let's just use let's use the example of a person, a janitor. Okay? Let's just say I'm at a museum and the bathroom is really messy. And I see a janitor walking around doing a bunch of different things, and I'm in the bathroom, and maybe, like I said, back in the day, I would have thought to myself, why is this janitor? I'm seeing this person walking around with their cleaning supplies. Why aren't they coming in here and cleaning? Like, what's up with them? Why can't they do their job, quote unquote job? And anyway, I don't need to clean because it's their job. They get paid to do this. They're gonna come in here and do this later. And I guess that mindset, I think, permeates everything else we do in our life. That mindset of it's not my job. And I think what that mindset does, it's basically it's it's emphasizing our separatedness. It's emphasizing that there's a you and a me, and I should be doing this and you should be doing that, and just like sticking to our identities, what we're being identified as. And it really, at the core, it just really keeps us in separation. And it also maybe touches upon our pride a little bit, like the pride of like, that's not my job. There's a little bit of pride in there that says I'm above that. That's not for me to have to do, you know. There's a little bit of neglect of I can't be bothered with that. That's not mine. That's not my thing. I can't be bothered. That's a mindset. I can't be bothered is a mindset that permeates all the things we do in our life, that has a ripple effect, a very, very long ripple effect, the I can't be bothered mindset. And so for me, it's really about, like, if I were to break it down, that mindset of it's not my job, it's their job, is that the mindset that is going to help me feel more at peace in this world, more at one with other people, more unified? Is it a mindset of peace and unity, or is it a mindset of separation? I think that's what I would, at the core, that's what I would look at. So I would invite, and it'll be great to hear your perspective on this, but I maybe I can invite whoever's listening to this to think about that. Is your mindset and your way of thinking, is it a mindset of togetherness and unity and peace that you're hoping to see in the world, or is it a mindset of separation?
Yeah. So I'd like to build on that,
Mm-hmm.
what you just said, in a way. Because I was thinking, like, someone might be listening to this to say, like, oh, why should I care for people? I'm so, I've got so much troubles in my life, and my life's difficult. Like, you guys, like, you sound like, oh, you just like doing this stuff and caring. Like, yeah, but I was not like that before. I was a really self-focused person. I focused on what I wanted. I had a lot of negativities with people, and also my life didn't go well. Like, I had a lot of accidents. I had a lot of car accidents. I didn't make a lot of money, like, and I had a lot of arguments with people, and I didn't have many friends. So it's like when I reflect on our own discussion now, it's like I was probably attracting a lot of negative energy, right? And I think that negative energy just logically wasn't good for me, isn't good for us, for people, for who we are. It's going to have an effect. That's why it's called negative. They don't call negative energy positive energy. Like, so,
I like
so
that.
I think that luckily, we can. I'm sure we're going to have podcasts where we talk about transformations and things, and like, what do we notice about things that maybe helped us a little bit, be little bit different. But it's now like, so imagine, like, in our examples we've been giving, like, making the bed in the hotel, cleaning up the thing in the cafe, what, and about in the bathroom and tidying things and whatever. Like, this seems to create positive feedback for coming our way. So part of the ripple effect we're creating is positive towards us, actually. So it's like if we're positive and caring to others, in a way we get the benefit. In a way it comes because, like, wow, he, like it's the next day the cafe owner treated me like part of his family and gave me a coffee, you know.
Or just appreciated you, right? Just appreciated you. That's all, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and it was positive, and he looks at me differently now, you know. So yeah, maybe this is a big part of the ripple effect, is the ripple on us, in a way.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that piece in. That's very, very key, actually, to understand that energy goes both ways, always. And this can also go back to what is often talked about, the laws of karma, cause and effect. Yeah. And, and, and not doing things because you want good things to happen to you. You don't do good things, or you don't do good, or you don't do positive things because you want positive things to happen to you. But that just happens to be the effect that comes out of it. It just naturally comes because it's energy. And energy has a movement.
So it's like, even the physical world, like, if also it has positive feelings, then all these things could be coming towards you, in a way, like belongings and things. If you care for your belongings and things, maybe that's going to create a positive energy. So even what you do, if you don't even leave your house, if you don't even leave your apartment, the way you care for it, you know, can create a positive vibe and could help you.
It's true. Yeah, my God, cleaning our bedroom. We could talk for hours about that one, about the positive effects of cleaning your bedroom, caring for your room, making your bed when you wake up, giving appreciation and respect to this space that cares for you, that cares for us so much. My God.
Because like, when I leave where I'm staying now, which is a very nice RV near the countryside, when I even if I'm away, I go to Sydney for a few days. I don't shut all the lights off, even though I've put all the blinds down. Right, I leave the lights on,
Yeah, yeah.
so the environment feels nice for the van.
Yeah. I do the same
You do the
thing.
same thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I really can feel that my environment is like a person, and I want to care for it. I really do. And when I don't care for it, I feel it. I really feel it. Oh yeah. I feel something's out of place.
So, like, in a way, to if there's some accuracy or some truth in what we're talking about, in a way we can make our lives more positive by doing, like, what seem to be quite simple things, in a way. Nothing grand, really. Nothing, nothing that creates, like, a lot of, oh, I don't know how to do that. It's just like very simple things.
Yeah. Very simple
Yeah,
things. And the ripple effect can start with us
yeah.
by just like something as simple as making your bed when you wake up. That could have a huge ripple effect when you wake up, because we all know what happens once you start doing stuff when you wake up. You know what's funny is that I just found, when I wake up, I've been waking up early to meditate in the morning. I cannot meditate until I make my bed. Yeah. It's so interesting. Like I try a few times. I go, Marilyn, okay, come on, just sit on your mat and just focus and quiet your mind. And like it's almost like there's something nagging at me in my ear going, no, make the bed. Make the bed is messy. The bed is messy. It's not you haven't cared for it. And I'm like and then there's a part of me that's like, you know what? Maybe that's the some type of like trying to do things perfectly or perfectionism or something like that. And I go, you know what? No, there, it can really be that even when I close my eyes, I can sense when there is something out of place or chaotic in my room. And I can sense it. And it really does affect. And so I'm just becoming a little bit more aware of little things like that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And maybe the last thing I was think of saying is that I was just thinking that in a way what we've been talking about are things that are not too confronting. It's not like you saying to someone, "Oh, you should do this." You know, it's like you're just doing something and it has an effect, and maybe someone notices and say, "Wow," you know, like Marilyn did that. You know, like so you never had to like say to someone, "Oh, you should really do this." You know, it's not like that. It's just like living your life, and then if people notice it, great. If they don't, great. You know, it's just the way it is. It's like it's not confronting anyone or saying like this has to be done. It's just how you live your life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's how you live your life. Yeah. So so yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can end here and just leave each other with this thought of like just like the how you live your life has can have such a huge impact on. I mean, of course there will be different people listening to this podcast maybe, but the way I really feel like I want to say it is the impact that how we live can have on the whole of consciousness, on all of consciousness, which means everything that is in this physical world and non-physical world can be affected by the way that you live your life and the small actions that you take every day. And if we could just be aware of it, doesn't mean we have to change our whole life or be a different person or do things that don't feel natural to us, but even just having that awareness could be a start, you know.
It's true, and it's like in a way this is like maybe a positive or a benefit of seeing the world as like energy in a way, because as we see it as just physical things, we think like, oh, no, nobody saw me care for my cup. you know but if we think as energy, then the effect just ripples on, really.
Yeah. 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 Treat everything like it's a person, the person you care about the most in the world. Treat everything like it's the thing you care for the most in the world. Really. I mean, even just the thought of that can have an effect on how we treat things. Just that thought.
Well, this is
Yeah.
this it's like this discussion, I can really feel it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a meaningful
Yeah,
topic.
it is. It's great to discuss it. Wow. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Marilyn.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you,
And
Dave.
thanks everyone for listening to this. And wow. I mean, if people had examples or comments, it'd be interesting to hear, really, about their experiences and as well.
Are people able to leave comments on Spotify?
I've got no idea, but we could leave our email or something, or a place where they could leave comments.
Oh, yes. That's true. That's true. Yes, and what we could do is, even though we're not going to be posting the videos to this right away, we do have the YouTube channel that we could open up to people to leave comments on.
Yeah, we could even put the recordings on YouTube and just put a pretty picture for people to look at, and they can just look at the ceiling or look at the picture.
That's true.
Okay, that was really nice that we talked about that, Marilyn. Thanks. So
Likewise. Likewise, I think it's good stuff. Good stuff, good stuff. Okay. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day, night, wherever you are.
Okay, thanks everyone.
And remember, we are a ripple effect. Bye.